Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and one visit to his flat later, I still have no idea which rock in Luxburn he went off to hide under again. The guy has his own place but refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time, he'll just show up on my front door. Sometimes in the middle of the night, complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either, and if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait if that's the case.
Let's just hope I'm lucky enough today.
Luck is on your side. While Luxburn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcomes me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like their receptionist who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from the hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved.
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the 4th one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Frowning, he pulls his own mobile out, wordlessly fiddling with it for a few seconds before sighing heavily. There ain't any annoyance in him when he glances up, though. Only mild exasperation and what might be a hint of amusement.
Stop taking pointers from Isabella. This is gonna get old soon.
Meh.
At least use your phone properly.
It's an alarm clock, a good note-taking device, a halfway decent camera, and maybe a music player too. If I'm being nice. What else do I need it for?
I don't know, keep it in contact maybe?
Nonsense. The timing of that gasp. When he merely shrugs, I know I've struck a chord. He's far from holding a piece of technology in contempt, of course. Ash has always been nothing but practical from the start, and technology is useful. Only, when he gets too focused on one thing, like a case he's handling, he tends to forget there are other things around him. A little reminder and a nudge in the right direction can get him a long way.
I've got an email on that social media site the girls roped us into joining.
That doesn't make any sense. Also, you've got an account before any of us had one.
For policing purposes?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, why are you here? I thought you have something scheduled today. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Look, about that. There's something I want you to see.
He stops me with a tap on my shoulder, walks past me straight to the door, and gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow in question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. As expected, he takes a seat in the farthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has I've gotten used to. Food arrives minutes later. Cue the awesome coffee art. Who did that? Who did that coffee art? It's so good. A slice of their vegetarian quiche for me. Meanwhile, Ashton has opted for a cup of coffee plus a gracious serving of...
You having cake for lunch?
The best kind of lunch. He shrugs and then proceeds to dig in without even a hint of remorse. Frankly, it's like seeing a child get his Christmas present early.
Don't tell Becca. I'll get an earful. It's just for today.
You should listen to her, though. The kind of work you do, you'll need to eat something other than sweets. I don't want to see you drop dead in front of my apartment again.
I told you, just this once. Have you been hanging out with Becca lately? You're beginning to sound like her.
Nah, just for some recipes. But she has the right to worry, you know? It's like she's taking care of 2 kids. One bitches on sweets, while the other on cup noodles.
A marriage made in heaven.
At least Bella knows how to cook.
Hey, I can at least boil something. Wait, that's easy, right? I mean, you just put water in and...
Huh.
No, don't even think about it. You destroyed your own kitchen once by sticking a pressure cooker on it. I think my sister is a whole lot better than you. And this is coming from someone who has no other choice but to eat her cooking for some time.
To be fair, he genuinely appears offended at the last remark. Hate will be too strong of a word to describe how Sis and him usually interact whenever they're in the same room. Though whatever appropriate word it is, I can say with most certainty that the feeling's mutual for both. Ash thinks she nags too much, while Sis thinks he's a trouble magnet I should stay away from. They're both technically right on their assessments. My sister is an egg.
How's your sister, by the way? Still bullying white guys?
What should I say? Okay, neither of these leads to a CG, so I'll take the more positive response.
You do know she's married to one now.
Ayo.
I hope she doesn't end up poisoning him with her cooking.
Pot calling the kettle black?
She can't be better than me.
Actually, she is now. They're planning to start a restaurant sometime in the future.
Oh snap.
I was bedridden for days after eating some of the stuff she whipped up. And now you're letting her cook for other people?
Don't exaggerate. It was just for one day and you're the one who refused to leave your apartment. You should come by though. Sis gave birth a few days ago. Girl, I've only seen the pictures. But I might visit sometime after everything's settled down. Too many backlogs to go through for now.
No way in hell. She'll just find something to criticize again. Last time, it was Shirley.
He makes a show of being utterly mortified, though I'm quite sure he doesn't mean any of that. He might not say it straight out, but I'm pretty sure he's enjoying the small visits whenever he can. Something about it reminds him of his own family, sort of like making up for the one he never got back after his parents separated. Sore spot, that one topic. One thing he never ever brings up in any conversation if he can help it, and I've never seen the need to be nosy. There are some wounds you're just not meant to open, and for the both of us, the sentiment goes the same way.
As if you ain't already on a shit list. You're just afraid of her.
In your dreams. But I'll think about it. Can't just drop this thing at the moment.
His change in tone is subtle, but his aggravation over the matter hangs completely palpable in the air.
Still no closer?
The opposite, actually. There's been some slip-ups here and there. Careless mistakes, and let's just say I'm waiting for him to make another one. What about you? How are things on your end?
All piled up on top of the other. But I can manage. Still recovering from the expenses for the movie, so the surge in new projects helps. And well, there's this one thing.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them. All of it reprints of the same thing. Miss Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease, even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
Are you done with your work with them?
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose, and pinches it. Like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hana.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hana? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the right missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is as clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but that's just rude. I thought you knew me, Ashton. Well, luckily for both of you, no CG here either, so... more positivity in your life. Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times. But we didn't get this far as friends if we let our own tempers be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
Bro. He eyes me skeptically, the same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early in our friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look down pat.
And there's nothing going on with me and Miss Hana. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name. That's all.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Like I read any of those.
You should.
I know you don't,
There might be a nugget of truth in there, you never know.
but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise she'll get off scot-free if she's involved. Man, with how you're acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
In another life.
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to. Besides, what's currently going on here is more important.
All right, lay it in.
Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen through the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. At the end of it, Ash merely nods, takes out his phone, and excuses himself. Off to a far corner at the cafe for some privacy, if you can even afford to have such in a place as public as this. He returns in a little while and hands me a small card. Andrew Clark, Professor of Psychology and Ethnography, Department of Psychology, College of Humanities and Sciences.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on. I already gave him a heads up. You know I can't help you out, man.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. I need that for the true end. Disturbed, Zachary decided to show the photographs to Ashton. During lunch at the coffee house, they briefly discussed Zach's sister before the topic veered on the photos. Refusing to believe his friend, Ashton advised him to talk to Andrew instead. He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking back how things are at the precinct. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know this is his own little way of helping out despite what he doesn't voice out. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long. Most of it never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't in the plan in the first place. But after Ashton went through trouble to contact the professor, I can't just ignore it. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with a library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just the lack of sleep talking, the weather, this cold Becca has. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me. Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess is the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head. But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make. But they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxburn's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain.
This is the important info, I gather.
There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon, hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? In fact, you aren't the first one to ask me about that recently. Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house.
We never did see Lord William as the ghost. But she can shapeshift, so maybe she was able to take on his appearance sometimes.
But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Oh, right, it's not the fiancé, it's Charlotte's parents. So sometimes the story is that it's her father or mother that haunts the place. Interesting.
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Miss Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Ooh.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Nice knowing you. Not nice meeting you, just nice knowing you. Zachary met with Professor Andrew Clark at the library. The professor shared a few of his favorite stories about the city, including a friend's research about its urban legends. When Zach showed Hana's distorted photos, the professor only warned him not to be reckless. And that some people deserve what's coming for them. He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me and every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, or talk like that, or think like that. But after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event. The Wrights' housewarming party, tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton, and an empty gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time, and, frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn, but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smiles, the warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain, and our room. The room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy, a place we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is, the walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases, and Pa... I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks... Her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Hannah's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. I wonder whose scream that was. My whole body feels distant. Every limb heavy with lead, all unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours, while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There is a tightness in my chest I can't shake off, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out. Something cold has settled in my legs. Not the usual chill that comes and goes with a passing breeze from the window, but one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin. With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter, and tighter, and tighter. All until it becomes too much. Oh yeah, this is one of the things that made me scream before. My heart stops. Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick. Suffocating. Filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards and it slowly comes into view. That's why my legs are so cold. So creepy. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me and I can't look away. From it, her, from the terror and death that her uncanny, twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth, to shout, to ask for any help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. Then suddenly the bed dips. That is so scary. Ah, I hate that so much. The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. Just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allow myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they the small cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Luxburn, considering its location at the heart of a bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor problematic soul who happens to wander here. The city is just waking up, a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, its claws digging deep in what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down.
So it begins.
Falling down.
It used to be easy, finding some pretense of peace under the guise of sheer optimism, following regular routine. Now I don't know what to make of it. Sometimes it's easier to run, easier to hide when everything's falling apart. That way, you don't have to be the first to witness it when it does. It worked when things went bad with the movie, after all. It also worked when Ma and Pa were taken from us. Maybe it really is better if I just...
Hey, mister!
Hi. The tiny voice gives me a pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. 2 wide eyes, overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely note the St. Goretti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with a song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were both too old to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street, where a kid is taking shots of something above him. It doesn't look to be birds because all there is on that side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Before I know it, a smile has spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's given my friends and I a lot of trouble. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
You'd be too. Well, I was gonna say if you saw her, but then I remembered that Kylie's actually friends with her, so bleh. That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone, or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisure walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once, Dr. Navarro said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up on our next appointment after that. But he's right. And though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is. But that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate. Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before, too? Had people they cared about lived a life of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us does? Do they really lose all of it after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. The first few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go, but you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. Cute. A small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She may not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
Ah, that's creepy.
With what?
Confused, I glance back. Whatever cheer our little talk brought has vanished under the shadow suddenly dancing in my eyes. This frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel like. Bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. And the kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
Gonna try to.
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however, because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child. None of the spite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
Oops. Sorry, Kylie. Didn't mean to cut off your laugh. I break into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passers-by as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Going insane. This is what it is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. Bella, at the very least, has an ending like that. Zachary's nightmares became worse with each passing day. To help clear his mind of the unwanted images, Zach took a visit to the park. There he met little Kylie Suarez, a precocious young girl studying at St. Goretti. The tremors follow me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I am assaulted with more images of her. Her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's song no longer sounds as sweet as it meant to be. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling I will never be rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun is already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back, and for the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only I didn't arrive to an empty room. Because as soon as I open the door, I am greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
It is Ashton I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Whatever proverbial stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. But before any exasperation can set in, my attention is taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabella perches on the only other chair in the room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives me a small smile when she notices my stare. Yet, somehow there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to have.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
But chips! Ash smirks at me because, of course, he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what's very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it on the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabella shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waste bin with a dull thunk. Common sense dictates that I should be angry, but after everything, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tidbit of it. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. They have likely been waiting for a while if Ash has gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs at the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds this vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy has no doubt already caught wind of it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so.
I love that line. Nah.
I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he clasps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
All right, you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks. What I said was weird, I'm aware of that. But I'm not taking it back. Isabella's not the only one here who's seen it.
A short but tense pause follows. They're both stalling. Under normal circumstances, I'd wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they'll clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response, though, one of them finally speaks up. It is Ashton who first breaks it.
I'm not asking you to. No, you're right. There really are some odd things going on here lately.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
Said photographs has been sitting untouched since the day I dumped them in my drawer. Isabella goes very still when I hand her the small stack. To her credit, she does not flinch like I'm expecting her to and flips through each of it in silence. But while her eyes remain strangely calm, her hands have gone rigid and her mouth has set into a thin line. She, out of all people, understands what this means. In hindsight, she should have been the one I approached before Ash.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So, that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where this sudden curiosity is coming from. But if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me. But it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait. Stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one.
You didn't say you were taken off your case.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's someplace we'll visit after this.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
His affirmation comes in the form of a stare, but that alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him a pause, though, and his voice is thick with hesitation when he addresses Isabella.
You know what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now. Have you two seen the news this morning?
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, cannot have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing reining in my curiosity is the fact that Ash himself hasn't brought it up earlier.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Man burned after room catches fire. Another victim by the Anselm Butcher? He grabs the remote and cycles through numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who has been found dead in the early hours of the morning today. Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire has spread, and whatever damage has been contained within the place the body was found. The room itself, however, has been completely vandalized. Help me, help me, help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. Isabella and I know better. None of us shifts even after the report ends, but the room has suddenly felt stifling. Ashton's eyes have gone hooded with what appears to be restrained anger, and the remote in his hand creaks mildly under his grip. The stone is back in my stomach. A tiny little thing gripping at my insides, growing with every passing second as the dread sinks in. In the thick of it, Isabella's voice is the one that breaks the hush. A small, weak thing on its own that wavers unevenly between words, but every syllable heavy with meaning.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
When it fades, all that's left in the air is her doubt and fear, while all we can do is to cope. Is there something I can say to make her feel better? Yes, you can. Be positive about this.
It ain't too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here.
Hooray for both.
4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's staying away from this.
She lifts her gaze at me, eyes steady and shoulders squared as she holds it against the baffled look I give her. Although in the next second it immediately softens, and it takes me by surprise nevertheless. In those brief moments, it's like I faced a different person.
I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Still and all, that's 2 extra heads who can do the thinking. Between us 3, I'm sure we'll figure something out pretty soon.
Don't make this whole thing sound like it's a piece of cake to deal with.
It ain't. But better than sitting around, yeah? Plan is still a plan.
You're going to shoot yourself in the foot one day with that kind of thinking. We don't even know who's doing this. The last 2 murders might just be similar incidents done by 2 different suspects.
Hasn't stopped you from going after them before. Remember that time when you...
Okay, stop right there. There will be no retelling of that incident today, Z-Man. Or ever.
Keep calling me Z-Man and maybe I will.
See what happens. Suddenly, Isabella laughs. Though muffled by her hands, it rings light and easy against the thick tension in the room. Still a far cry from the usual cheer she carries, but brings a welcome shift in the otherwise dreary mood.
Thanks, you two.
I'll tell you about it when he's not around.
Give it up, Z-Man. She's not interested.
Who says I'm not?
Ash makes a face, but chuckles at the jest despite himself.
Why am I even friends with you two?
As you like us. And like this, most of our worries ebb away, if only for a few moments. They take their leave mere minutes close to sundown. But regardless of the lighter mood, little has been said of their plans, only vague hints of what they're aiming to do after. While it ain't any of my business to know, something about this whole thing still gnaws at me. A tiny passing thought urges me to do something as well. At this hour, the streets are once again busy with people heading home after a hard day's work. Little of the bustle matters to them as they step out the crowded walkway, however. Ash especially. There's only his goal in his mind, and I'd wager there's nothing I can do to stop him at this point. He's probably decided on it long before they made the decision to drop by. But despite this, Isabella lags behind. A worried crease is back on her forehead as she watches Ash leave to get his car.
Something wrong, Bella?
No, actually, can you check on Becca for me after this? I really didn't get the chance to tell her where I'm headed off to. Tell her I'm okay, and no, just that. That's all.
You sure I should skip on that part? If she finds out about this, she'll be angry. I don't really want to deal with angry Rebecca. It gives me a stomachache just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Neither do I, but I'll handle it if she gets mad. Just make sure she's safe and tell her to be careful. You too. Take care of yourself.
Almost abruptly, she pauses, the gaze in her eyes hardening as she lapses into another one of those long, distant silences from earlier. This ain't just because of the whole fiasco with the letter anymore.
I don't want what happened to Rose to happen to you guys as well.
This one cut deeper. Before I can ask about it, Ashton returns, casually swinging his car keys on one hand and gestures at Isabella.
Come on, we don't have much time. Shirley's waiting.
Who's sure? Oh, right. Don't answer that. I don't want to hear it, you huge dork.
Says the person who gave her stuffed toys names. Batcat? Really?
It's cute. Yours is just weird.
I'll see you later, Zach.
She spares me another smile, and as I watch her walk off, only now did it occur to me that none of those she gave today ever did reach her eyes. I make a grab for the back of Ash's parka. He staggers briefly before correcting himself and shooting me a confused stare.
Is she alright?
What? Who's okay?
Isabella. She's been, I don't know, out of it today? Did something happen earlier?
The scowl on his face says it all.
She's actually been like that this morning. I'll ask, but...
Just do me a favor and watch over her. We have no idea what we're dealing with. I don't know what happened to her since the last time I saw her, but from how she's been doing today, whatever it is, seems like a pretty big deal. Wait, you didn't annoy her again, did you? Because I swear to God, if you did, you've got another thing coming for you.
Get him, big brother Zachary.
What? No, why would I? Just so you know, I already apologized for the one at the movie house. Granted, she deserved more of an apology, but I meant it that time.
I'm just asking. I'll take your word for it. But if you can find out what's bothering her, that'd be nice. Honestly, I don't think it's the letter this time.
I'll see what I can do.
Make sure you keep yourself out of harm's way, alright?
Yeah, you too. Don't do anything reckless again.
Reckless, no. But I can't make you to promise I won't do anything. After seeing that, there's no way in hell I'm going to pretend there ain't a problem when there is. This is a really big one, and I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you guys while I sit here. I'm done running when things get tough.
He's about to argue for a moment, but...
Look, bro, if things ain't good, I'll be the first one out. But allow me this one thing, alright? Just this one time. If it doesn't work out, you'll be the first one to know. You can laugh then, or berate me all you want, but please don't ask me to step aside like I'm incapable of doing anything to help.
I've no idea if it is the look on my face or the tone of my voice. Ultimately, although his mouth presses into a thin line, he nods.
All right, stay safe, Zach.
When he stumbles into the sidewalk and allows the afternoon crowd to swallow him whole, I like to think the tiny gleam in his eyes is the closest we can get to optimism in this situation. Whether that alone will be enough to give me a peaceful sleep tonight remains to be said. And seen. Upon returning to his apartment, Zachary was greeted by Ashton and Isabella. Now suspicious of what was happening, Ashton informed Zach that he and Isabella will try and get to the bottom of this. He also warned Zach to be careful. Night falls, and despite my best attempts, sleep continues to elude me. With her image still stuck in my head, flashing every few moments it catches me off guard, with Ma's lullaby still echoing in my ears, no longer the soft tune it once was, and the terrible gnawing at the pit of my stomach, it's no wonder I can't bring myself to drift off even for a little while. It is not as if there's a complete lack of things to do while waiting for sleep to come, if it ever will. And at 2:45 in the morning, I find myself cleaning my photography equipment for no other reason than just to pass time. Though, if I am going to be honest, it is not the night terrors that are keeping me wide awake tonight, but the anxiety and the hope I'll hear from Ash or Isabella soon. And for what's perhaps the 42nd time, my eyes shift over to the end of the table where my phone lies still. I've not heard from them since they left. They haven't promised a call, of course, but a small part of me wishes they would have the common sense at the very least. Waiting is a tough game, and with the concern stretching out the minutes far longer than usual, it's impossible for more unpleasant thoughts not to enter my mind. Moreover, it does not help that when the clock finally strikes 3, my hand stills. Got really dark all of a sudden. Spider legs. Terrifying. This is absolutely terrifying. It'll be a complete and utter lie to say my heart didn't leap straight to my throat in that brief second. My whole body has gone motionless, ears straining for any further sounds. A couple of tense seconds pass. Nothing. Of course, with how old the building I'm staying in, power fluctuations ain't anything new. Every now and then this would happen, leaving a few tenants in a rather bad mood. Nothing unusual anymore after a few years of living here. But this time, the sudden hush brings with it a stillness that raised the hair at the back of my neck and set my heart beating hard against my chest. Something reeks in the air, and in an instant this place is no longer home. It's a prison. Every rational fiber in my being screams at me to leave. I force myself to swallow and keep a clear head as I lay down all my cleaning tools and begin gathering together the rest of my things scattered about on the table. The camera's body, lenses, filters, diffuser, phone, anything my hand could reach, but in the resulting panic like in the nightmares, it is the scent that reaches me first. A foul, putrid smell filling my lungs with the heavy stink of death. My fingers clamp tightly to the camera, holding it closer to my body as if the tiny thing would provide enough protection to whatever is with me in the room. It won't, but it's the only comfort I have. And knowing that whoever she is, she had once been human. Perhaps not all of it is gone. Perhaps some of it is still there.
Hello? I know you're in here. What do you want?
Something moves behind me, a soft scuttling over the walls, followed by the squelch and painful creaking of what can only be rotten flesh and broken bones. Without hesitation, I whirl around, my fingers and camera ready, patiently waiting for another movement.
I can help you. Whatever it is that keeps you here, I can help. That's what the letter's for, ain't it? You don't have to keep taking people's lives.
There's a brief moment of silence after, and for a short while I think my pleas worked. Then, with no warning, the shuffling resumes, and along with it are the sobs of a woman. And then scream! The light flashes fleetingly one last time, allowing me a glimpse of her grotesque, misshapen features before it is once again lost in the darkness. All of a sudden, her tune changes. No longer a soft cry, but a high-pitched shriek brimming with pain, grief, and anger. Every ounce of courage I've mustered flees from my body at the sound, and the next thing I know, my hand is gripping the knob and I'm wrenching the door open. Her wails follow me as I flee into the night. Pacing has always been more of Ashton's thing than mine. When I want to think, I sit and let the minutes tick by until an idea comes to mind or my pulse settles down. And yet, dried leaves and twigs crack under my shoes as I make another pass at them. Terror is too mild to describe what this is. There's no way in hell I'm going back. Whatever she is, pleading won't work. The moment we saw that letter, she's been after us.
But I can't run. Not this time.
Nearly 2 hours have gone by since I left the comfort of my room for the solitude of the park. 2 excruciating hours since I've started making calls. No one's answering. Not even Rebecca, who has always kept her phone line open in case other people need her. Or Isabella, who frequently checks hers for any messages and readily responds as soon as she can afford. It does not help that Ash hasn't said a word where he went off to as well.
Damn it! I knew I should have asked him before I let him leave.
Knowing him, he can be anywhere. But there's really only one place he'll likely be at this time. The sun has already peaked over the horizon when I make it to the mansion. I have no idea what I'm expecting to see when I got here. There's Ashton, first and foremost. A part of me wishes my assumptions are correct and he's really somewhere close by on a stakeout. But I've never been the lucky sort when it comes to that kind of guessing. And even after I've made a round at the immediate vicinity, I could find neither hide nor hair of him. Calling him does no good either, considering how awful the signal here is. He can't be too far if he's really here, but if he is, he would have already noticed me by now. Instead, there is only silence, the kind too quiet to find any sort of comfort in. Even the trees seem to have fallen asleep with the rest of the mansion, oblivious to what's happening around it. A small island of stillness in the otherwise fast-paced world. No wonder the whole of Anselm feels at odds with the rest of Luxburn. While the city is alive, growing every minute, breathing every second, and pulsating with life, the village remains unmoving, unchanged. It's not surprising the legend still lives up to this day, and why she's still here, walking its hallowed halls. And beyond me, the mansion looms ominously. But now ain't the time for fear. Even if Ash is not here, I've still got to let the Wrights know what I've seen, what's in their home. And whatever grievance Ash has with them doesn't matter. There might be grounds for imprisonment, but they don't deserve a brutal death at the hands of one malicious spirit. And I'm sure Isabella would want the same thing. I head straight for their door without a second thought. Oh, it takes a few rings, the sound loud above the foreboding stillness before I hear footsteps on the other side.
God and damn it, only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour.
I'm a Zachary, actually.
Where's that damn butler when I need him?
Before long, the door swings widely open with Mr. Luke Wright standing behind it. Seething would be a complete understatement to describe him. Like this, I've got no doubt why Ash would find him a suspect.
You? How the hell did you get in here? What in 7 hells do you want? It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time. Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't. Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep. Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
Before I can get a word in, he slams the door to my face and bolts it shut with much finality.
Wait, sir, you gotta hear me out. You're both in danger if you stay in there. Have you seen the news lately? Everything's not a coincidence.
Only silence answers me. Maybe if it was Miss Wright. Oh, who am I kidding? There are limits to how far a person will believe in you. Then again, I didn't believe Isabella when she warned us. And now I'm here, desperately trying to save people, even if I'm aware it's completely out of my own capacity to do so. Is this what they call karma? If so, this is one horrible way of turning things around. Taking people's lives, playing with people's fears, making them feel useless.
You're around, ain't you? You here? Inside this house? Listening, watching, or whatever it is that you spirits do?
Killing?
What did they do to you? I can help you, you know? If it'll let you move on, I'll gladly do so. You don't have to kill anyone.
Nothing. I don't even know who I'm talking to, or if a sane person is supposed to be doing that. The only thing I got after is a feeling of foolishness washing over me. Or perhaps this is just me losing my mind. Out of other options and any other ideas, I let my hand slide off the door's surface and fall listlessly to my sides. I can go back to Luxburn, try to find the others, try to get out of this mess with them, or let them know how much in deep shit we all are. Both sound good. Either way, my loitering here ain't helping at all. I let the quietness calm me for a few more minutes before standing up and heading out to fetch my bike. It's quite a distance to Luxburn, but if I hurry, I'll reach it in maybe... The rustling stops as soon as I turn around and strain my ears for any other movement around me.
Yo, Ash, you there?
No answer. If he is here, and I've just missed him earlier... Already my feet are moving in search of him for the second time. It won't hurt to double check. Triple check, even. With how big the property is, he can be anywhere. If things ain't so urgent, if they ain't so dire that lives are at stake, I'd probably have just waited for him to show up again.
But damn it! He needs to realize what exactly it is he's dealing with.
That it is not just a petty criminal he can simply throw in jail. That it is something beyond the authority his police badge could ever give him. The guy needs to stop playing the big damn hero, sit down and chill. My breathing comes in short, shallow rasps by the time I make it back to where I started. Still no sign of him, and I'm beginning to think I'm just wasting my time here. But that is when I hear it. I'd recognize the melody in a heartbeat. Ma's favorite song. I listen for a while, trying to gauge where exactly from the house it's coming from. My feet starts moving before I can stop them. And there, as I circle a corner, from the room up the second floor. There are no lights inside, and the windows are shut, but I'm sure whoever's singing is in there. And what?
Hold on a sec there.
Hold on. It's difficult to get a decent view from my position, but something's odd about that window. The marks on the other side, rather. Streaks the color of copper running across wide glass panes. Suspicious. I can't make out most of it if the strokes are meant to say something. Miss Wright's cleaning crew may have simply missed that room. Still, why I'll hear an old tune here of all places, I won't know. It's not an obscure song by all means, but it is pretty rare to find someone who knows this. And for some reason, death seems to follow this song around. It's that scream again. Panic lodges itself at the base of my throat at once. Whoever's humming might be... I don't want to be the pessimist now, but on the off chance that it is Miss Wright?
Shit.
I shouldn't just barge in there. I can put myself in danger before I can save anyone. Ash will tell me so in the exact same words. Might even write me a dissertation why that is a bad idea if he ain't so lazy. But damn it, damn it, damn it, god damn it! Someone could be in danger! Alright, Zachary. Fate has decreed... you shall live to see the true ending. In the end, the rational part of my brain wins out. The half that has spent too much time around Ash. It's right, though, the reasonable part. If I do force my way in and find something unpleasant, how am I going to fight back? With my camera? No matter where you look at it, that's simply asking for a painful death. It's true.
I have a better chance if I find Ash. What is he snooping about?
Perhaps I should try the forest? Make a round farther into the gardens? Not a sound plan, but it's better than nothing. The woman's soft sobs have subsided now by some means. Almost inaudible, to the point where I'm wondering if I truly heard what I heard. I didn't get to dwell much on it, though, because right in that moment my phone rings. The sharp notes cutting, piercing through the thick quietude. I clamp a hand over it, pressing the button before the speakers are close to my ear.
Are you?
I only caught the tail end of the person's greeting on the other side, but I know the voice well enough.
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you?
Ah, she let us go.
Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even... No, wait. Just get your ass here at Isabella's place, and hurry.
I shift my gaze into the mansion, specifically at the window I heard the cries from. There is nothing of it now, not even echoes.
How urgent is this?
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
That gives me a pause. It's a rare thing, for him to take on that tone.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two, tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Alright. Jonah? A terrified Zachary went looking for Ashton in the Ermengarde mansion, but to no avail. He also tried to warn Luke Wright about the spirits supposedly living in the house, but was simply turned away. As he was about to give up, he received an urgent call from Ashton, ordering him to head straight for Salem Well Residences. I rush back to my bike as soon as the call ends. Without another look, I leave the mansion along with its haunting melodies and grim echoes behind. There are more important things than my own curiosity and impulses.